Good morning, my dear friends. Welcome or welcome back. I am waking up, but I really need to do a review. I have had an exhausting work week. I slept in. It's going to take a couple days of sleep and relaxation to get over it. And I have so many candles that I need to review for you, especially ones pertaining to spooky season and Halloween, which is upon us. Like stacks of them that I have burned that are ready to go, and I just didn't have the time this week. So I'm gonna try to get through as many as I can in the next like 4 or 5 days, but I'm also exhausted, so bear that in mind. I have my special coffee here, and I was not too busy. Okay, this will make everything that I just said sound like a lie. I was not too busy to fly out to Bath & Body Works on Wednesday because new things had dropped. I had like a brief moment in the evening, and I had several things that I wanted to return and pick up some new little things. One of which was the Golden Berry Mistletoe. That's what we're talking about. Golden Berry Mistletoe has been out in the 1 wick. It was out in the 1 wick on Saturday when I went to Bath & Body Works, and I smelled it and I really liked it. Excuse me. Still really struggling with allergies as well. I am like a complete wreck. I knew I wanted that in the 3 wick, but they were like, oh, the floor set comes out on Sunday. Come back, you know? And I was like, fuck, like I don't have time this week to come back. Just give me it from the back. But it was not happening on Saturday. So I knew I wanted to get one of those 3 wicks. And I also had a stack of Bath & Body Works candles that I have purchased over the last month or two that I'm very happy to relinquish to return for some of these new ones. So I did that on Wednesday evening, and I have a super mini haul. And I was looking at it and I'm like, it's something new, it's something old. And then I was like, wait, I've even got a little bit of a blue candle here, which is this Palo Santo Sage because they updated the label. And I'm like, how can this other final 4th candle be borrowed? So I'll shoehorn something in there just because I wanted to keep the cuteness of something new, something old, or no, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. 2 of these candles are not new. 2 of them are. So that's the situation. I did want to talk about a couple. So the first one that let me talk about body care here for a second. They had a new body care item, and the body care item is Snowflakes and Cashmere. Here's a picture of Snowflakes and Cashmere. And I'm putting it up there because I kind of liked it, and I just wanted to kind of talk about it. So the notes on Snowflakes and Cashmere are vanilla cashmere cream, caramel woods, and frosted clementine. And to my nose, but you know, when you walk into Bath & Body Works, it's like an onslaught of about like 75,000 different smells. So sometimes it's a little bit hard, even with a tester, to kind of isolate what it is that you're smelling. But from what I could smell, I kind of liked it. So I would say that since I liked it, it didn't seem as sweet as those notes would indicate. But maybe if I smelled it in isolation, I'd be like, what was I thinking? This is just like a molten lava of caramel. I think it must lean into the cashmere and into the woods because I liked it and I thought it was less sweet than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. Last week I had a reward that was going to expire, and I got this actually, which is not in my wheelhouse, but I really liked it. Cozy Vanilla Bourbon. I really liked this one. It came out with the other vanilla one, and I can't remember what the other vanilla one is. It's been on display, these 2. I really just wanted to get a mini one. You know how they give you that like travel coupon that you can never find something adequate to buy? That's what I wanted, but actually they sold out of the little mini sprays very fast. And I don't know, I've been doing some sprays lately. I don't know why. Just in the hair, you know, all over. And I really like this one. Okay, so the notes on this one is warm bourbon, dark fruit, and vanilla liqueur. And I am here for all of those things, actually. I like the bourbon note. I love the dark fruits, especially in the fall, and I like liqueurs. We've had this conversation. Brandies, ports, sherries. Like, I really think it's an underused, underappreciated fragrance note. Yeah, this is sweet. It's a lot of high vanilla, there's no question. Very similar, frankly, to like the Sol de Janeiro kind of vibe. There's a real like caramelized vanilla toastedness. And maybe that's the bourbon in there. But yeah, there is kind of a jamming, a very, very dark jamminess, which would be the dark fruit and the liqueur. I like it. Does it blow my mind? No. Will I ever be able to get through this? No. But I did buy it because it was free. I did not spend money on it, and I liked it. I liked it. Okay, so let's talk about candles. Should we talk about candles now? Oh, by the way, the Snowflakes and Cashmere one was in the hand soap too. And here's a picture. It in the display, it was next to another new one, which was Silver Snowfall. And the Silver Snowfall, the notes on that are cotton snowfall, bergamot zest, and warm sandalwood, which I also kind of liked from what I could smell of it. But I think I like the Snowflakes and Cashmere a little bit better. But anyway, those two are out. Check them out. There's some little newnesses sprinkled all around and a lot of packaging changes. So similar to that line and aesthetic, we have our first candle, which is something old. Something old is Vanilla Birch. Oh my gosh. This is an OG, and oh, it's got like a little bit of a wraparound snowflake motif, but that like spitting snow does not prevent it from being $24.95. So this is one of our like cheaper ones, and I'm liking it. I know there will be haters out there. I mean, I'm just bracing myself right now. They're not gonna like it. They're gonna be like, what is that? That doesn't look like Christmas. That looks like, I don't even know what that is. That's like a forest. That's a pineapple. I don't even know. Why are they doing this to us? You know, and they're gonna act like it's the end of the world. I actually like it, but I'm very partial to colored wax, which look at that beautiful, soft sage color. And I personally like Vanilla Birch for post-season. I mean, you can burn it anytime. It is a little bit on the perfumey side. Oh, but it's got those beautiful vanilla and wood notes and musk notes. So it's white birch, Madagascar, vanilla, and warm sandalwood. You know, I'll go a long way for sandalwood. Yes, I love it. It manages to be kind of like fresh at the same time. But this is definitely a very cozy cashmere vibe kind of fragrance. So for me, it's like a nice January, February burn. And I think that that color is so smart. Yes, if you want to burn it during the holidays, you can. It's still green. It's still obviously got like a really snowy motif. And Bath & Body Works has been doing a lot with this like woodlands kind of vibe. And there are some acorns there. It's kind of in a forest. I like the forest motif personally. And I think that it adds a little bit of whimsy and richness without it being like the standard red, green, gold, you know, etc. So I love it. It's got like a snowflake lid right here. And yeah, I mean, Vanilla Birch doesn't really need any other introduction. It's been around a long time. But I actually don't have any Vanilla Birches right now in my collection. So I was really happy. I actually wasn't going to pick it up, but I brought along a lot of candles to possibly return. And when I had my 3, I was like, oh heck, why don't we just do a 4th one? I know I'm going to want this candle. Why not? Why not? So this is Vanilla Birch, $24.95. It is in a series of colored waxes and kind of woodland motifs. The one in that collection, which I almost picked up, was, I think it's candy red apple toddy or hot apple toddy. Maybe that's it. It's another real OG candle. Looked like this. And I gotta be honest, I almost picked it up just because that magenta color is so gorgeous. Once again, a little non-traditional for the holidays, but I loved it. And I actually don't mind the fragrance of the apple toddy. It's just this side of like too sweet and generic for me to really appreciate. So I ended up not bringing it home, but you know, hey, if it was a good deal, I wouldn't mind it. It's very seasonal. You can burn it right now. Even though magenta is definitely not seasonal to either fall, autumn, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, anything like that. I'm just here for that color. That color is everything. Okay, so that's Vanilla Birch, and that's kind of the new, I think there were 4 candles in that line, and they were all, I think, repackages or, you know, returning favorites, returning seasonal favorites. Okay, so that's something old for sure. Let's talk about something new. Oh, maybe I should tell you first the things that I returned. First of all, I returned blueberry pumpkin patch. When I came in the store, I'm like, guys, I have to return candles. And then I felt bad. And I was like, but I'm giving you one back that is sold out and that you're going to want back. And then I was like, ta-da! And they were like, oh yeah, we'll take that back. We'll take that back. I just couldn't do it. It was never my fragrance to begin with. And I can't say that the reviews on that were like glowing. So I'm happy to return that one. That one was fine. And I was so happy because I know it'll bring somebody else a lot of joy. They're going to come into the store and be like, what? Blueberry pumpkin patch? And they'll be like, yeah, there's only one. Somebody returned it. So I'm like happy to just give that joy. So I did return that one. And then I returned a couple of the new ones. So I returned the sparkling pear one, the pear pine one, and I can't remember what it's called, but that new pear one. Just because it was just so, what was the sangria? Prickly pear sangria. It was just so prickly pear sangria or sparkling pear Riesling for me. Yes, it did have a little bit of tree in it, which I was hoping was going to kind of like redeem it for me. But the more that I smelled it, I'm like, no, I'm not going in for this like sparkly pear thing. I'm just not. It's a little generic. It's canned. And I'm not like that fruity, effervescent kind of Bath & Body Works girl. So I did take that one back. I also took back the Spiced Citrus Grove, actually. The orange note in it weirded me out. I'm not gonna lie. It just did. It was fresh and it was fairly authentic. But to me, it smelled more like orange juice than it did like an orange rind, which I feel like would be a better orange note for a pomelo, which is I think what they were going, or not a pomelo, a pomander, which is what I think they were going with the clove and all that. Sean from Hearthside really liked it a lot, and God bless, but he did say that it was like super weak and light as a candle, and for me that was like the final strike. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna mess around with that. I'm not sold on it, and with that orange note. And I do agree with him. He was like, this is one of the better orange notes from Bath & Body Works. And I agree. They do not do orange notes well. And as orange notes from Bath & Body Works go, it actually was fairly decent. But it was orange juicy for me. And I just thought that was odd. Also, I'm not like a huge pomander orange kind of person. So I went ahead and let that one go. But instead, I got this lovely, oh yes, Golden Berry Mistletoe. I mean, like, I think the label is a little phoned in. I'm not going to lie to you. That looks cheap. I mean, that looks like something that like CVS would do. No shade. Or like Ulta, although even Ulta's candles are like stepping up in terms of their packaging. So I am not impressed with the packaging on this one. And I hope it gets shade because I think it should. The trees are a little bit like textured here, but there's nothing particularly glittery about it. And it's just, like I said, super phoned in. Also, I had to go through an entire stack of candles to find one where the label wasn't crooked. I mean, they were all like I said, it was just, the presentation is not good. The lid is fine. It's gold. It's got this like star pattern. There's nothing like particularly innovative about it for holiday lids from Bath & Body Works go, but I am, I suppose, happy that they at least stuck with the gold, you know? Anyway, not about that. It is actually about the candle. And given all of the beautiful holders that we have, a phoned in label shouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker. So the notes on this one, and it is a new fragrance, thank God it is one of our $24.95 candles. The notes on this one are sparkling berries, sugared spruce, and frosted air. And the sparkling berries would give me pause because I'm not a sparkling girl, and every time Bath & Body Works uses that particular effervescent kind of situation, it's usually not to my liking. But this does not go that direction. The spruce, very interested in that, and the frosted air. And when I was smelling it, I'm like, yeah, I really like it. This is not going to blow your mind. It's not a Best New Candle nominee for the year. It is a little bit Bath & Body Works, i.e., I wouldn't say that it has like the outdoorsy authenticity of like that fall candle. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired and I haven't had enough coffee. The fall forest, you know, the forest candle that I nominated, right? Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't have that sort of outdoorsiness to it. It's definitely almost body care. Yeah, I think it could very easily, and maybe it does. Maybe they did bring it out in like all of the different like shower gels and whatnot, although I didn't see them. Almost body care, but it does have like a very nice, almost citrusy berry vibe. So that's why I actually I was in my mind associating it with that citrus grove. And I don't know why, because it's not a pomander, but there is a very fresh like berry pop. And maybe it's the sparklingness of it that is just making it seem zesty, as in a citrus zest. When I initially smelled it, that's what I thought I was smelling. I thought I was smelling citrus and pine. And I liked it better than the Spice Citrus Grove because I thought, yeah, there's less clove in this, but I actually really like this citrus and I like the tree note. That is very nice. I would rather burn this than the Spice Citrus Grove. I think it is berry. Yeah, I think it is kind of like a generic blueberry, raspberry, wildberry kind of situation. It might be the same wildberry that's in here, and we're gonna get this. This is a new candle and it's got wildberry in the top. It might be the same wildberry note. But whereas in this candle, the wildberry note is supporting cast, here the wildberry note is #1 starring lady. Yeah, I think a lot of you are gonna really like this one. But it does have the spruce underneath and around it, which kind of cuts that Bath & Body Works fruity pop kind of smell. And the fruity pop, while it is effervescent and while it is jammy and fruity, there is something a little dark about those fruits. And I said blueberry and raspberry, but it could almost be a wild berry, like a cranberry currant in there as well. It's not all cranberry currant. You still have those like high jammy fruits like a blueberry or a raspberry in there too. But I do think there's just enough cranberry currant in it to make sure that it has the sparkling moments, it also kind of hits a little bit of a lower register as well, or at least a mid register, which I think makes the berry note, which otherwise would be very generic Body Works, Bath & Body Works, it actually takes it into a little bit more of an intriguing and almost authentic place. But weirdly, and maybe I'm the only one that's going to say this, and I know I sound crazy, but weirdly, when I opened it up, I immediately thought that it was citrus and spruce. Frosted air, not so much. I don't know that there's a whole lot in here that's ozone-y, or certainly that has any kind of eucalyptus or mint kind of overtone to give the rhetorical effect of a nippy cold air. No, I think that it's pretty much your fruit and your spruce and some sugar. A lot of sugar. Yeah. I just kind of like it. I really do. And maybe it was the gold too on top that made me think citrus and made me think kind of pomanderish. Although there really isn't anything particularly spicy like traditional cinnamon, clove, etc. I don't know why I like this fragrance as much as I do, because the more that I smell it, I'm like, it's actually not innovative at all, but I just really like it. So I'm hoping that it performs well, and we'll see upon being burned. That's our new. So we've got something old, something new. Let me take some coffee. And I would just said in one of my other videos, where is our new wave of naturals candles? They've been dropping the ball on the naturals. They came out with them like kind of in the summer for like an early fall wave of naturals, and then we really haven't seen them since. And they should be contributing more to this natural. I like this naturals line. That is what is missing right now in the floor set. And to find this candle, which I knew online was in the store, I had to like get on my hands and knees and search for it. It was like tucked away in some corner where there were a handful of naturals candles, mainly just a huge stack of brandy and bourbon and coffee and whiskey. I'm really hoping that they're not disappointed with the reception of coffee and whiskey, because I do think that's a great candle for them seasonally, and this year it had a little bit more coffee in it, but I do see like stacks and stacks of them. So I wonder if it's not selling quite as well this year. Brandy and bourbon I could like do without. I thought it was too generic. Anyway, brand new naturals candle. Look at that label. I'm sorry, mine got a little scratched, I think, when I was bringing it home. So this is Wildberry and Ube. That's how it's pronounced, Ube, okay? And I noticed with the naturals, and see here, this one is an older one too. I think it came out last year. Palo, Santo, and Sage. They've got this like pearlized, which I really like. Generally speaking, I like a more subtle aesthetic, so I have no problem when they do the naturals and they're just all kind of the same, brown or neutral kind of label, but I have no problem with this either. I think that that's fine. I also like it when they do some like very subtle colors, but this works for me. I like it. And I think that both of them could travel very well into the non-holiday season, which does make me curious as to why they're coming out right now. When right now I do feel as though we should be seeing more naturals candles that have to do with the holiday season or the deep fall season. Yeah? All right, but God bless. I'll take it. I'll take it. So Wildberry and Ube, for those of you that don't know, although apparently it's becoming super trendy, an ube is a yam plant. So it looks kind of like a potato, a very large potato. And it looks just like a regular brown potato on the outside, but then you cut into it and it's like this gorgeous purple color. And I believe that they are indigenous to the Southeast Asian realm, and especially very much beloved in the Philippines. The Philippines use ube for most of their desserts, or at least many of them. So ube is this beautiful purple color, and the taste of it is actually fairly mild, but very sweet. So think like a yam, an orange yam, or a sweet potato or something like that. Very much like that. Leans a little bit more vanilla as opposed to golden and roasty. So it tastes more vanilla-like, and actually maybe a little tiny bit coconut-like, which is great for that Southeast Asian aesthetic and also like culinary tradition. So they use those purples to like usually make a lot of creamy desserts, and they bump up the coconut, or, it's just the color is stunning more than anything else. Actually, you expect it to be a lot more of a like pronounced flavor. Like it looks like you're just putting like this amazing like Kool-Aid grape, like a Kool-Aid grape fragrant, not fragrance, but like taste into your mouth. And then when you taste it, you're like, oh, actually it's really, really subtle. Like it's just sweet. And like I said, kind of vanilla, kind of nutty, kind of, I don't know what. Anyway, and you can mash it like potatoes, that sort of thing. So really big thing. I was in Los Angeles. Ice creams and flans, anything that's creamy, then we'll make like desserts out of this. I was in Los Angeles like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and there was this like Philippine, I think it's a Philippine dessert bar, and still there. And it was like a viral like thing on Insta at that time. They had this amazing ube ice cream, and they stuffed it inside a donut. So it was like an ice cream sandwich, a donut. It was so amazing. And I drove there. I was there on work, but I like drove to their thing and I got one. This is a picture of what it looks like actually. Look how stunning that is. So I have a little bit of experience with ube. At any rate, this is Wildberry and Ube, which means, I mean, the lovely purple there, but honestly, you should just think of Ube as providing a little bit of nutty vanilla-ness, like a sweet potato. And with the Wildberry, you would expect something berry forward. But when I smelled it originally, I was like, oh. Well, this is very holiday appropriate. Despite the marketing and despite the branding, it actually is very harvesty. So immediately when you smell it, you think to yourself, roasted pumpkin. This is a pumpkin candle, you know? Maybe a little bit more squashish than pumpkinish. But it's got like these caramelized roasted elements to it. It's kind of a golden roasted squash with vague spices kind of candle. Easy. If they had marketed this in some other kind of way, as some sort of pumpkin spice candle or like sweet potato pie or something like that, totally we would buy it. No question. So in that sense, it's a great seasonal candle and it just doesn't look like one. Yeah? I think what they were going for, because later when I thought about it, after I brought it home and I was doing other things, I thought to myself, why did I immediately think it smelled like sweet potato casserole? You know, kind of like at Thanksgiving when people do the sweet potatoes with the marshmallows. Oh my gosh, so much marshmallow here. It's like a toasted marshmallow, a caramelized marshmallow, but it really does have like a roasted squash dimension to it as well. That reminds you of the sweet potato, dishes that people bring at Thanksgiving. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, well, actually ube is very similar in texture and in genre to like a yam or a sweet potato, the golden ones that we have. And so maybe they were thinking, although the Philippine people don't usually use it that way, you could use an ube and roast it and put marshmallow in it, which would bump up the vanilla-like texture of it, and you could treat it as if it was basically a sweet potato casserole like we would for Thanksgiving. You could even add the spices that are traditionally associated with that, which is usually like a subtle pumpkin spice. That is exactly what this smells like. And I think a lot of you are gonna be really here for it because that's what it is. Now, when I was smelling it then last night, and I actually burned this one a little bit. When I was smelling it last night, I thought to myself, yeah, it's like sweet potato casserole. And then I was like, but also fruity. And then I looked it up. I'm like, does ube taste like fruit? And it was like, no, it doesn't. And I didn't think it did. But then I forgot that the whole thing was called like Wildberry. And I was like, oh, it has Wildberry. So after that whole preamble, here are the notes that they've given us. Fresh wild berries, purple ube, and creamy vanilla. Okay, so the vanilla and the ube are just, I mean, it doesn't give us anything other than what the title obviously gives you, which is that ube, which also leans a little bit vanilla-like, and wild berries. And there are wild berries in this, for sure. They're just kind of like on the bottom. And I have to say that upon being burned, the berries come out even more. So it's kind of like a really unusual candle. I burned this for a good 2 or 3 hours. And there were moments where I'm like, am I just inventing that like roasted squash dimension? Is this just a marshmallow berry candle? You know what I mean? Because the marshmallow note upon it being burned really comes out strong. And it is a toasted marshmallow, but then there's like this berry cloud kind of vibe. Yeah? And not in a body care way, just in terms of it being like a blueberry, raspberry kind of like, you know, blueberry medley, berry medley with the marshmallow. And honestly, if that's what you get primarily is that like berry medley with the toasted marshmallow, I think you would love the candle for that as well. So there is that dimension. There's kind of a split dimension to this candle. One is that like very strong roasted squash sweet potato like feel. And the other side of it is the wild berry medley. And over all of it is this toasted marshmallowness. Yeah? I would say it's not just vanilla. It's like a toasted marshmallow note, which Bath & Body Works does very well and uses in many of their candles. But if you smell it and you think sweet potato casserole, like that's what you're going to smell too. And I do think there's some vague pumpkin spice. At least that's for me the first initial top note of the candle. At any rate, I think it's a complex candle and I think it's one that kind of checks a lot of weird boxes. I made this my borrowed candle because I'm like, well, I guess the ube is kind of borrowing from that sweet potato yam Thanksgiving morning kind of vibe, mainly just because I needed something borrowed. But it's a brand new candle, my friends. It's natural, so it's going to be $26.95. I burned this for 3 hours last night, and it had strength and throw. I mean, we're talking easily within that 7.5 range. 7.5. And I had it out in the open concept, out in the living room. It did fantastic. I took it with me into the master bedroom, took a shower. It did amazing. So if it performs that way all the way down, it's a candle that I think a lot of you are going to get behind. I know it's not a holiday motif, but if it smells to you like sweet potato, you know, casserole or whatever that dish is called, I think it might be one to buy and burn now. Try it out in November. See if it's one that you want to keep around during especially the Thanksgiving holidays. And if you think it smells a little bit more like a berry marshmallow cloud, one for you to easily burn in January and February. It's got a cozy roasted dimension though to it, which makes it a great January, February candle. I wonder if they were thinking to themselves, and maybe they even deliberated, do we bring this out in January? Or do we bring it out right now because it kind of smells a little pumpkin spicy? And they decided now. I'm happy with it. Anyway, highly recommend, at least from the 3 hours that I burned it. And it is a little sweet for me personally. I prefer more of the pumpkin bonfire, more of the spiced pumpkin and patchouli, you know, that sort of thing. That's more my vibe. So I don't know that I would necessarily buy another one. But like I said, I think a lot of you are really going to like it. So high marks, high marks. Something old, we've had something new, we've had something borrowed. Here is our blue, which is Palo Santo and Sage. And I actually have a Palo Santo and Sage. It's like, I rationed it. It's a little bit. It's in my drawer. And the label was like just a brown color. I want to say that it came out in, what is today? This is 2023. So I think it must have come out in 2022. And it didn't come out with a whole lot of a splash or fanfare. It was when they were doing the Palo Santo mixes. The one that I think was a little bit more successful was Palo Santo and Vanilla. Yeah, a lot of people liked that. For me personally, it was too mild and anemic and vanilla. I would rather just Palo Santo, yeah? But if you're a vanilla person, and if you were wanting a vanilla candle, I think that it is more woody and intriguing than a vanilla candle. But if you're like totally in the pocket for like a woody kind of candle, then that one is just going to seem a little bit sweeter and more anemic to you. A lot of people liked that though. The vanilla crowd really liked it a lot. This is the one that I liked. And like I said, it came out with very little applause. Palo Santo and sage, which is clary sage. Oh, I love clary sage. Palo Santo and ambered woods. And this one is far less sweet, much more masculine, much more outdoorsy, much more rustic, much more herbal. Ah! And I was in the store and I lifted the lid and I was like, yes. I am realizing that this is possibly one of my favorite Bath & Body Works candles. I just think this candle is extraordinary. And the more that I smell it, I think to myself, I mean, this is just a beautiful candle. It's a beautiful candle that I would put up there with any of the more expensive luxury kind of rustic candles. It is gorgeous. I've reviewed it before, so I don't need to say a whole lot more about it. But it's warm. It's a warm wood, which is no small feat because you've got a lot of wood and you've got a lot of like herbal with the sage. And even with the amber, and it could have gone in a very cool and very like kind of aggressive and biting direction, and it doesn't. It's just stunning. It's a stunning candle, and I even think some of you who are not huge herbal wood masculine kind of candle lovers would love this candle. Take a smell of it in your store when you go to pick up your purple ube candle because I love it. The only thing that I can say negatively about it is that the original one that I had, just it didn't have the strength and throw that I wanted from it. I can't remember the specifics, but I think that it was probably in the 5 range, something like that. And man, I want this to be at least in the 7 range, maybe a little bit more. So I think it's encouraging that it came back at all. I didn't think it was going to come back at all. So the very fact that it has is like, makes me not only very happy, but I'm also encouraged that maybe more people bought it than I thought did. And I didn't expect to see Palo Santo and sage at this time of the year. I mean, if they were going to bring something back into the store, I assume it would be Palo Santo and vanilla, which would more obviously go with the season, I think. That said, the Palo Santo and sage, I think you could burn this at any time because I think it does have a little bit of a spa-like kind of feel to it rather than an outdoorsy cold day kind of vibe to it. So I think you can burn it at any time, but I think it's especially like evocative here in the outdoorsy period where everybody's going and looking at the leaves and going for a hike and all that sort of thing. Definitely fits that vibe really well. And this candle, I liked it from the beginning and it's only growing on me. So I'm hoping the performance is a little bit better on this one. And I hope that they stay with this candle because I just think it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. May not be your niche, but if it is, and even if it's not, just take a smell. You might like it. You might like it. It would be great for January too, you know, where you just kind of like need to cleanse your palate a little bit. There's something very dry and like wood sauna kind of like about this. And then with the sage on top of it, don't we all need to sage our houses after the family has come over? You know what I mean? This might be a good January burn. That's what I've got for you, my friends. I know I talked way too much. I talked more than I thought I was going to. But we've got something old, beautiful vanilla birch, something new, Golden Berry Mistletoe. We've got something borrowed, but also new, Wildberry and Ube. Check this out. I think this is the standout. I really do. And Palo Santo and sage, which is my standout, something blue. Check out your Bath & Body Works. I have heard whispers that there are going to be a 3-wick candle sale on Sunday, but I could be misreading the tea leaves, but there might be one. So, good information to know going into your store. And I'll catch you in the next one.